Well, hello everybody. What I need to do with you today is I need to cover inequalities. Now, a lot of what we do today is going to be review. When we say cover inequalities, that means once again, you'll see a greater than, a less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to symbol. Now, since we're on a two-dimensional plane, that coordinate grid, you're going to see shading today. So for instance, we might graph a line, and then we have to decide if we're going to shade on top or if we're going to shade on bottom. We're going to graph a parabola like we've done a few times already with the graphing calculator and everything. And then once again, you'll have to decide if you're going to shade on the inside or the outside. And I'll show you that as we go today. But what you need in front of you are your day 13, day 14 notes over inequalities. So if you would come straight over to number 1. Now guys, I'm not going to do all of these because I don't want the video to be too long, and I really think you'll get the idea after just a couple of examples. Now number 1 says y is less than 3x plus 1. Now something important here. If this was less than or equal to, you would graph this using a solid line. But since it's just less than, we're going to use a dotted line. The solid line is like our closed dot. The dotted line is our open dot whenever we're graphing on a two-dimensional plane. So guys, to solve these linear equations, and I know this is linear because x is to the first and y is to the first, you solve it for y, and in this case this is already solved for y. So I'm going to start right here at 1. I'm going to apply a slope of 3, so up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. I'll put down my straight edge, and I'm going to do a dotted line. Now, we have to decide if we're going to shade on top or on bottom. And here's how I'd like for you to do this. You're going to pick any ordered pair that's not on the line. So I'm going to pick the ordered pair 0, 0 whenever I can, because 0, 0 is the easiest ordered pair to work with. Now, let's come up here and plug in 0 for y and 0 for x. So I've got 0 is less than 3 times 0 plus 1. So I got 0 is less than 1. Since that's true, since that's a true statement, I want to shade on the side that 0, 0 is on. 0, 0 is on this side, so I'm going to shade on this side. So any ordered pair on that side of that line will make that a true statement. So there's how you do your first one. Here comes your second one. I'll go ahead and hit this one. It says y is greater than or equal to x minus 5. Well, this is already solved for y for you. So let's just graph it. Let's start down here at negative 5. My slope is 1, so I'm going to go up 1 and over 1. Now you need to decide if it's a solid line or a dotted line. Since it's greater than or equal to, it's a solid line. So we've done all that before, but the new part is deciding which side to shade. So once again, I'm going to pick the ordered pair 0, 0, which is right there. So I'm going to pick 0, 0. I'm going to sub in 0 for x and 0 for y. So I've got 0 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Now, you decide if that's true or false. If it's true, then you're going to shade the side where 0, 0 is. If it's false, you're going to shade the other side. Well, 0 is greater than negative 5, so I want to shade the side where 0, 0 is. So there's my solution on that one. On to your number 3. Now, this one is not solved for y for you. So you need to solve it for y. just like we did when we graphed. So I'm going to move the x to the other side and change the sign. So I got 5y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 15. And then I'm going to divide everything through by 5. So I got y is less than or equal to negative 2/5 x plus 3. So this is what I'm going to graph. I'm going to start here at 3. I'm going to apply a slope of negative 2/5, so down 2 and over 5, down 2 and over 5. And then you have to decide if it's a solid or a dotted. And in this case, since it's or equal to, it is a solid. So let me put my straight edge down, hopefully. I connected my dots. Now we have to decide what side to shade. So once again, pick 0, 0. You can sub it into either equation. I'm going to go back to this top one. I'm going to sub in 0 for x and 0 for y. So 2 times 0 plus 5 times 0, I've got 0 is less than 15. If it's true, you're going to shade the side with 0, 0. If it's false, you're going to shade the side that's not. Well, this is a true statement. So we want to shade the side with 0, 0. Okay. Guys, that's all there is to the lines. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and skip number 4. But I'm going to talk about number 5. Because this one's a little bit different. I wanted to remind you about vertical lines and horizontal lines. We're going to graph the line x equal negative 3. But it's going to be dotted. Trip down memory lane. X equal is a vertical line. It means all my x values are negative 3. So my line will look like this. It'll go through negative 3 and it'll be dotted. If it was y equal, then it would be through here. Now, decide what side to shade. Since there's only an x, I'm going to pick x equal 0. So once again, I'm picking that point right there. And I'm going to plug in 0 and get 0 is greater than negative 3. If that's true, I'm going to shade this side. If it's not true, I'm going to shade that side. Well, in this case, it's true, so this is my solution on this side. So that's all there is so far. Now, I'm going to go ahead and jump on number 6 because it's got another thing I need to remind you about. So here's our number 6. I've got 3x minus 2y is greater than 12. It's not solved for y, so let's solve it for y. So I've got negative 2y is greater than negative 3x plus 12. Now I'm going to divide everything through by negative 2. And when I do that, remember when you divide by negative, we got to flip that sign. And I'm going to get positive 3/2 x minus 6. So guys, little errors that we've made throughout the year. When we move something over the equal sign, make sure that you change the sign. Same rule. When we move it over the inequality sign, change the sign. I'm going to start down here at negative 6. I'm going to go up 3 and over 2. Up 3 and over 2. Decide if it's solid or dotted. And in this case, it's going to be dotted. Now, we got to pick 0, 0, which is open, and see if we get a true statement or a false statement. So I'm going to plug in 0 up here. I'm going to go 3 times 0 minus 2 times 0 is greater than 12. So I get 0 is greater than 12. If that's true, shade this side. If it's not true, shade this side. 0 greater than 12 is not true, so I do not want this side right here. I want this side. So guys, there's the front side of it. That's solving linear inequalities. That's solving linear inequalities. Now, if you'll flip it over, we're going to solve absolute value and parabola inequalities. And guys, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do number 7, number 9, and number 12. I'm just going to do 3 on the back. That'll make my video about 20 to 25 minutes, and that's all I wanted it to be. So here goes number 7. Since it's an absolute value graph, what I need you to do first is set up your XY chart. And then you need to remember how to find the number that goes right there, right smack in the middle. And if you look at our grouping symbol, looks like it's going to be 1. That should look familiar because we did it last time and the time before. And then ready? Minus 1, minus 1, minus 1, add 1, add 1, add 1. Now, let's let our calculator do the rest of the work. I'm going to graph this by going to, I'm going to hit math over to number, down to absolute value, and I'm going to type in x minus 1. I'm going to go into my table, and I'm going to fix it to where -2 is at the top. And then you've heard me say this a few times, you'll know if you're right or wrong. I see symmetry, 6420246, so I know that we're right. So let me come back into my chart. So I've got 6420246. Now, another little thing I need you to do, I need you to know this is a V-graph. So we'll use our straight edge on it. So I've got -2, 6. I've got -1, 4. I've got 0, 2. I've got 1, 0, 2, 2, 3, 4, and 4, 6. Let's connect those dots. So guys, we've done that before. Now once again, we need to pick 0. But I'm gonna show you a little trick. Let's come back into your calculator. And let's let x be 0. Well, no, let's just use 0, 0 so I don't change anything. So let's pick the ordered pair, 0, 0. So I'm going to plug in a 0 for the y. Now, let's use our calculator after all. Let's see what the y value is when I plug in 0. Well, if you look in your chart, looks like 0. When I plug in 0, I get 2. If that wasn't in my chart, guys, what I would do, I would look in my chart and I'd go find 0 and I would compare it to 2. That's a little trick I'm going to show you. So now ask yourself, is 0 greater than 2? And 0 is not greater than 2. Oh, I'm sorry. 0 is less than 2, so it's yes, it's true. So we want to shade where 0, 0 is. 0, 0 is right there, so we want to shade on the outside of this graph. So there's my number 7. Let's go pick on your number 9. What I need you to do to start with, after you draw your XY chart, decide what number goes right there. And in this case, it's a 3. So here's a 2, here's a 1, there's a 0, 4, 5, and 6. Let's let our calculator do the work for us now. Let's go y equal clear. Let's type in 2 parenthesis x minus 3 squared. Let me start again since I just typed the wrong thing, guys. 2 parenthesis x minus 3 squared. And then I need minus 5. Go to your table and fix it to where 0 is at the top. So it looks like my symmetry now is 13, 3, negative 3, negative 5, negative 3, 3, and 13. So here goes. We said 13, 3, negative 3, negative 5, negative 3, 3, and 13. Now, notice that this is a parabola, so it's got curvature to it. So I got 0, 13, which is going to be way up here off my grid. I've got 1, 3. I've got 2, negative 3. 3, negative 5. 4, negative 3. 5, 3. And then I would have 6, 13, which would be way up there. So I know this parabola is solid because it's or equal to, and will look like this. Now, to decide if we're going to shade inside or outside, I'm going to write down a 0 for the y. And then I need the value when we let x be 0. Well, we already did that in our chart. When I let x be 0, I'm going to get 13. Guys, if that wasn't in my chart, I would have just did this. I would have came to my table and I would have searched until I see 0 and compare it to 13. So you ask yourself, is 0, in this case, is 0 less than 13? And it is. That's true. So we want to shade wherever 0, 0 is. Well, 0, 0 is right here, so I want to shade on the outside. And if I wanted to get fancy, I could switch ink color on you. But it's not letting me, so. Okay. So there's what we've got so far. I'll go ahead and hit number 12 with you. And then I think that'll probably be enough. All right, the video's short. I'll hit 9 and 10 with you real fast. On number 10, I'll speed this one up. The number that goes right there is going to be positive 3. Now, guys, one thing that I know for sure, this thing will be opening down. Remember that? Reflected over the x-axis. So 3, there's going to be 2, 1, 0, 4, 5, 6. Now, guys, when we type this in to your calculator, to get that negative out front, we need this one right here. So I got negative parenthesis x minus 3, close my parenthesis squared. Now let me point something out. Here's the negative, here's the minus, and then I got plus 6. Fix it to where 0 is at the top, and then right away you're going to know if you've got them right. So it looks like I've got negative 3, 2, 5, 6, 5, 2, and 3. Now, guys, traditionally on the parabolas and absolute values, I try to write those to where they're solid, because even I forget to graph them dotted. So I've got 0, negative 3. I've got 1, 2, 2, 5, 3, 6, and then I'm coming back down. So guys, here's my parabola. To decide if we shade inside or outside, write a 0 for the y. And then we need to run 0 through this equation. But we've already done it. When I ran 0 through that equation, I got negative 3. So ask yourself, is 0 greater than negative 3? And since it is, we want to shade the outside. So in this case, I'd like to shade the outside. And then I'll do one last one with you, and then we should be done. The video will be about 23 minutes is all, so not bad. So let's go look at number 12. I'll speed this one up. My main number in the middle is negative 5. I set that equal to 0. I took the opposite of it. I've got negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2. If you graph that in your calculator, it'll look like this. I'm going to type in a negative and a 2. I'm going to go x plus 5 squared plus 8. If you want to see what the graph looks like, just hit graph. But I'm more interested in the table. Scroll it to where negative 8 is at the top. Now, I'm going to come back in just a second. So it looks like my main numbers, if I remember them right, were negative 10, 0, 6, 8, 6, 0, negative 10. I've got negative 8, negative 10, negative 7, 0, negative 6, 6, negative 5, 8, and then I'm coming back down. And guys, what I do when I graph these, I go over and I match my dots up. So I've got this. Now we got to decide, so write down 0 in place of the y. Now, I don't have 0 in my chart this time, so I'm going to look in my calculator. I'm going to see what the value was at 0. At 0, my answer was negative 42. See that right there? So I got 0 is less than negative 42. So you ask yourself, is 0 less than 42? The answer is no. So I don't want to shade where 0, 0 is. I'd like to shade the inside. So in this case, I'm going to shade on the inside. And then I guess since it's knocking on Halloween, I could kind of put a couple of eyes there, and it looks like you got a ghost. But guys, that's the lesson. That's the lesson. So you can stop the video. You can finish up last time's assignment, and then you got this assignment. So good luck. Let me come in if you got any questions for me.